President Biden remaining, he says, optimistic that a debt limit deal can be reached ahead of his meeting with congressional leaders later today. Meantime, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy striking a more cautious tone. He had been optimistic, but now he's telling reporters just yesterday that they are nowhere near a deal, with default looming as early as June 1st. Joining us right now is Chris Krueger. He's a Washington strategist at TD Cowen Washington Research Group. Okay. What are the odds at this point? I think the expectation in the market still is this gets done, maybe at the last second, which is sort of how this always seems to play out. But do you have any different view?
No, I mean, that seems about the way that this is set up to go. We've got the meeting today at 3 p.m. This probably leads to another meeting. I mean, we're still 2 weeks out.
When's that meeting supposed to happen? The president's going to be, abroad in Japan.
Well, yeah.
When is this supposed to happen? There's not really a lot of time left to do it physically, maybe on Zoom or something.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think if the last years have shown us anything, that, there are advancements with Zoom and other things. He doesn't leave until tomorrow. And candidly, there's 2 weeks to go. And the menu is largely set. They just need to figure out, that Venn diagram that all sides can agree to, because at the end of the day, you need a majority in the House, 60 in the Senate, and Biden's signature, which leaves a pretty narrow list.
What is at the center of that diagram, then?
I'm sorry? The center of the diagram is three things. It's clawing back COVID funds, call it 60 billion, 70 billion, discretionary spending, caps on growth, and then something on energy permitting reform. Now, to your broader issue, though, 2 weeks probably isn't enough time to get all that done. So some type of bridge into September is. Oh,
so you think we're going to have to do one? It's a two-stepper. We're going to have to live through sort of a 2 or 3, and then we're going to be back in the soup in August all over again.
Well, Congress being Congress takes August off, so probably September. But on September 30th, the government runs out of cash anyway. Yeah. So doing something at the end of September seems pretty likely, which is where those discretionary caps could come into play, as well as energy permitting reform. I mean, getting energy permitting reform done in 2 weeks is going to be pretty tough. So maybe you do a down payment in the next 2 weeks, and we come back in September and Biden signs it.
Haven't they already got that written up from what they stiffed Manchin on? Haven't they already written up how to do the permitting? They just got to resurrect it after they said, no, we're not going to. They pulled the rug out from him. They may already know what they want to do. My question was, the reason McCarthy got more negative was the Democrats said, we'll close some tax loopholes. They didn't say anything about COVID, did they? And they didn't say anything about discretionary spending. They just offered up. But, I mean, I guess that was the first negotiation, but at least it was a negotiation. At least they came back with something. But that's not nearly enough, closing some loopholes. What was that?
Well, I mean, what you're seeing is the far right and the far left trying to get some things in this agreement. I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's largely going to be the center that carries this. But seeing, there will probably be another big push by the House Freedom Caucus on something like border security or others, because in reality, this is probably one of the only big bills that's going to get done this year. So you're seeing folks try to attach a number of policy items, et cetera. A lot of Democrats would also point out that, if we're going to really talk about deficit reduction, revenues have to be a part of that conversation.
Taxes, you mean? I like the way you said. Is that a code?
Revenues, taxes, fees, however we want to address it. But right now, it's entirely on the spending side of the ledger.
You also talked about permitting. Where do you think that piece of the debate really lies?
Yeah, well, so there is the sort of the shell from the Inflation Reduction Act with Senator Manchin. I think what we've seen, though, is an interesting, again, with sort of the two-step narrative. It's not just energy permitting reform for sort of traditional fossil fuels, pipelines, et cetera. What you're also seeing is progressives pushing for an energy permitting reform on things like clean energy. So this could provide a real tailwind for both the Inflation Reduction Act as well as the bipartisan infrastructure law. So an energy permitting reform that both sides can point to could be a really positive outcome here.
Make it happen.
Yeah, it largely has to, because within that Venn diagram, there really isn't much else there.